Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. And today we have great guest James with us. James, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show, Dr. Moby. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, but I'm really good across here in the UK.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And so tell me a little bit about your work and your discussion we are going to have today.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I work in the medical cannabis and hemp industry. As everyone knows, it's a really, really rapid growing industry. It's got really, really good values, and something I'm really, really passionate about. But today, what I want to speak about is I want to speak about my experience over the last 12 months with cancer. I got diagnosed on the 5th of December, just nearly 12 months ago now, with AML, which is a rare form of leukemia.
Mm.
It was out of the blue, Dr. Moby. I'd been working tirelessly on my business, and still going to the gym, still treating my body well, but not putting the right kind of fuel inside my body at that time, and a number of stress situations with my business, with my lifestyle.
Mm.
And the unfortunate thing with AML is that you never really know what the trigger point is, so you never really know what that thing was that made that cancer activate. But yeah, a year ago, or just nearly a year ago, I got diagnosed with AML. And that was on the 5th of December. I've got 3 young children here in the UK with my wife to be, and I was just ill on the couch for around about 2 or 3 weeks, and I just couldn't shake the illness. It was a cold, maybe, that I would normally shake off, and this time I couldn't shake it off. And then I got a little bit better. I was still playing football, and I got ill again. And at that point, then my partner says, let's go up to the hospital, because I had a swollen lymph node just under my right ear. And the more it was swelling, the more I was a little bit concerned about my eyes. I was thinking, okay, I better go and get this checked out. And as I went to the hospital on the 5th of December, then they did a blood test, and then the lady came in and sat me and my wife to be down, and she says, have you got children? I said yes, and she says, well, you've got AML leukemia. And at that point there, I was completely numb. I didn't know what AML was, didn't know what leukemia was. I didn't even know it was a form of blood cancer. You know, Instantly they give me a platelet transfusion. My platelets was only 17 at the time, and from then I was whisked off to Blackpool Hospital the following day to start going through that procedure of having chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm. That, yeah, that must be quite, nobody ever thought, you get sick and then not only sick, but really sick. And, then life changes within few few days, right? So,
Yeah.
with you thought or so, yeah. But we, you're a fighter, and we commend you for being such a strong example for others, and yourself too.
Well, you know what we say in them situations, Dr. Moby, is we see one of two things: that like most situations in life, that you can pay a lump of money, you can find a solution, you can think clever and think smart about it, and you can normally, or you can hide away in a corner and lock yourself away from the world, and normally you can get away from any type of situation in life. But unfortunately, these types of situations, they're not something that you can get away from. And you've got two options at this point. You've got one option A, which is roll over and die, because that's literally what happens when you roll over. You sit down and you die. Or you can roll your sleeves up and you can say, okay, I've got kids, I've got a wife, I've got business, I've got friends, I've got family. I need to be able to fight this. And at that point there, I think I was numb for maybe 3 weeks after being diagnosed. But then, once the realization came in of what was actually happening, I came to an exception with myself that we was going to do this positively. We wasn't going to do it in fear. We wasn't going to do it with any kind of doubt over it. We was going to go ahead and we was going to tackle it head on. So a little bit of what happened in regards to my treatment there is that on the 5th of December, I got transferred to Blackpool. And then they did what they'd call an examination on the body before they start the chemotherapy, just to make sure everything's in the right place. Now, it came up on the examination that I had two teeth here that was growing downwards into my jawline. So what they had to do is a day before the chemotherapy, they had to send me to the surgeon in the hospital, which then had to drill at my jawline and take the two teeth out there. And what that caused to do, it caused all my face there to swell out. So the following day, I was going to start chemotherapy already with a swollen face and couldn't eat and couldn't open my mouth. So then for the first 3 weeks of having chemo, with any type of chemo, the first chemo that you have is the strongest. It's the most vigorous on the body, and it's the most that you get the most side effects from, because the body goes into total shock of having all these poisons put inside you. So at that point there, when I couldn't eat for the first cycle of my chemo, was an absolute nightmare. I couldn't eat. I was losing weight hand over fist. I thought at that point there that maybe I was going to die, over the coming 30 days, 60 days. I didn't think I was going to make it that long. And then once I got through that first round of chemo, you get sent home for a little bit of a break. And I think that break there really, really kind of enlights your fire to then go and fight again. And, the really strange thing, Dr. Moby, is that I went through chemo in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a coronavirus. So on round 1 and 2 was December and January. There was no pandemic there at that point here in the UK. And then round 3 and 4 was March and April and May. We was in the middle of a pandemic, which means we was locked down. So yeah, it was difficult times. And I think the pandemic actually swayed my decision on what treatment I went for, because the doctors here in the UK was advising me strongly to go for a stem cell transplant.
Mhm.
But with stem cell transplant, from my own research, was a number of complications, and I thought I was too young and too healthy to be able to give up on my own immune system at this point. So I was brave. I put my big boy pants on, and I says, no, that's not what I'm wanting to do. That's not what my body's telling me that I want to do. What I want to do is I want to carry on taking my CBD, my THC oil, my supplements, and I want to go down another 2 cycles of chemo. And then that's all I want to do. My cancer was in remission, and they was telling me I needed a stem cell transplant to further that. And I chose the brave option to not do that. And, touch wood, to this day, that I feel great. I'm back now working. I'm back now playing football 90 minutes on a football field. I'm only around about 13, 14 weeks out from my chemo. And, remember, I've been laid in bed for a year, but now I'm back in the gym. I'm back playing football. I'm back working. We're about to launch 2 new brands. My main company is a company called comparecbd.com, which were the world's first comparison website for CBD products and the world's largest online CBD store. We've got a new website being launched in 8 days. And we've got a new brand under Compare that's going to be launched over the coming weeks. So exciting times. But I think the real message that I wanted to go through there, Dr. Moby, is that cancer is not a death sentence. If you tackle it in the right way, if you eat well, and food's a massive part of it, changing your diet, having the right supplements, having the right kind of mental and positive attitude, then anything in life is possible. So inspiring others is what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, well, it's that's a great lesson from your story, is that first of all, you're a fighter. We commend you. Just anybody who has any diagnosis, any illness is. I mean, now even COVID is a big thing.
Yeah,
But with the AML is diagnosis. Not everybody gets every day. So, and then second thing is your story to kind of fight back. You kind of trust your immune system as well as your body, and kind of give your body a best chance to recover.
yeah,
And you're helping, and you're taking care of your family. Most people might find overwhelmed, that that's too overwhelming to even think of, to get that. But like, if life gives you lemon, you make lemonade, because so I
yeah.
think that definitely speaks volume about your case.
Thank you. Much appreciated for that, Dr. Moby. And, and just so can I say there that I'm in a number of groups on social media that are AML based groups. And you're right there. We see a number of struggles of people that lack motivation or lack the confidence once they've been told, sorry, motivation's probably the wrong thing. The motivation's been knocked so much when they've had the diagnosis that the motivation's gone, not that they lack it. But the thing is there is that them people there really really struggle, and they need some inspiration. They need that help and support and guidance. So what I would say is that anyone that's watching this that is maybe struggling with AML, different types of cancer, do look out for the support groups, because there's loads of them out there, and they're fantastic groups to really kind of get an understanding of other people's journeys, questions, answers. It's a really really good to be part of a group like that when it feels so much of a lonely place in the world after diagnosis.
And that is so true. The best defense against any illness is your immune system, and one of the important components of for the immune system is your own stress level, and your own ability to fight. So if you give up, then unfortunately your body also gives up. But if you are a fighter, then your body is going to fight, and your miracles do happen. So if but you have to believe in it, right?
Yes.
You need to have a belief that yes, good things will happen. Well, might not happen right away, but it will happen. Your direction should be clear, and once we do that, you will see your body automatically starts transforming to the new change and to the new direction, and which is amazing. Amazing that you are working. So tell me, how is it right now? Is it now? So right now it's under control, or where do we stand?
Yeah, so with my chemotherapy, we managed to get it into remission after round one of chemotherapy. Now, I went on to have another further 3 rounds of chemo when I opted against the stem cell transplant. But yeah, everything's currently kicked into touch. I really do think a big part of that has got to play with, my food intake and my CBD oil, my THC oil, a combination of having the right cannabinoids inside your system to activate your endocannabinoid system is really kind of a vital process within inside the body. And I think people don't understand it just yet. And I think that as the population then becomes aware of what the endocannabinoid system is inside the body, how vital it is, then they will start consuming cannabinoids on a daily basis. Something that we see across people taking chemotherapy is that they struggle to eat, they struggle with pain, they struggle with muscle sores, and a number of different side effects. And then what we see is when we see people that are taking a full spectrum cannabis oil at the same time as chemotherapy, 90% of them side effects seem to disappear. They're so all of a sudden eating, they fill out in the face, their color comes back, they're sleeping really well at night time. Because they're sleeping well, they're feeling more energized. Because they're sleeping well, their immune system is much better. So yeah, cannabis oil, CBD oil, THC oil is it has had a big part to play in what I've done so far.
Mm. So what you're saying is that what really also help your immune system beside eating and eating and staying positive is you use the CBD and those certain products that help your immune system.
Yes, 100%. One of the key things that I did really do every day is that when I wake up in the morning, that I put together what I call a super smoothie, which has got around about 8 or 9 different fruits in. 4 of them are super fruits, and then we add stuff like hemp seed, chai seeds. We add some CBD oil. We add some other nutrients in there, and that there every day, the intake on the body really gives the body and the immune system a boost to then to go out and fight for the day, regardless of what it comes into contact with. On a night time, I take my THC oil every single night religiously, and that's something I will do now for the rest of my life. I believe that's what my body needs, and my body's reacting really well for it. And like the most important thing like ever in life is food. It's like you wouldn't put chip pan oil into your Ferrari, would you, and expect your Ferrari to go a million miles an hour down the road? You would only put the top bestest of fuels in your Ferrari because it's your Ferrari, it's your baby, and you want it to go at optimum speed. And that's exactly the same with the body. If you fill the body with junk all the time, the body's going to be sluggish. It's not going to run, and it's going to break down very, very, very fast. Now, if you put optimum food in it all the time and look after it and give it the care and attention that it needs, then no doubt that the body's going to treat you well, look well, and perform at optimum performance. Sorry, have you frozen there? Oh, yep. So you have frozen there, Dr. Moby. So as you're just sorting the connection out, I'll carry on speaking just in general to fill in the gaps. Um, So one thing that I did want to talk about, is just while we're on the endocannabinoid system and cannabinoids in general, just while the viewers are watching and we're getting Dr. Moby back on, I think it'd be great just to give you a little bit of an insight of the endocannabinoid system, how cannabinoids are so important to us, and also the story behind where cannabinoids got taken away from us and now where they're coming back to us. So, many, many moons ago, we seen back in the very early 90s, we seen the hemp industry, and we seen that the cows used to consume the hemp, or the animals, the livestock used to consume the hemp on a daily basis, and then that livestock then would get put into our production chain, and then we would eat that, and that when we would have cannabinoids inside our body on a daily basis. Hemp was being used on 50,000 different usages it has, so it was being used across the world. Now, when the bill came out to ban hemp in general, that meant that the cannabinoids all got taken out of out of the fields. The animals wasn't eating it no more. We stopped using hemp, which means hemp stopped then cannabinoids then stopped going into the body. We stopped using hemp, which means that it wasn't in our production, so we stopped consuming cannabinoids. Over a 60-year period, then we've seen a number of illnesses coming to fruition. We've seen illnesses that we'd never seen before just starting to appear. Now, this wasn't a fact that these illnesses was just appearing. It was a fact that we had 99.9% of the population with an endocannabinoid system that was dormant. It wasn't working. There's two places where you get cannabinoids in the world, and that's a woman's breast. So when you breastfeed as a child, you produce cannabinoids for your baby, and obviously there's a number of plants in the world that produce cannabinoids as well. But now, as we're seeing cannabinoids come back into our food chains, into medicines, into food supplements, into edibles, we're seeing now that it's having a huge effect on these illnesses that once wasn't here, that now are back. And I've got no doubt in the years to come that we're going to see a lot of these illnesses stamped out. A big impact on the pharmaceutical companies, which is always great to see. And we'll see a big rise in hemp and medical cannabis related products, and that's my passion for the industry. I currently work in the CBD industry, the medical cannabis industry, but my passion's the hemp industry. I believe it's got a big part to play to save our world.
So,
Dr.
so
Moby, you're back. Sorry, I was just keeping the video going as you was offset then.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what happened. We just lost connection, but thank you for keep going, because it just looks great. Even if I wasn't there, but I could.
Yep.
It's the browser. It keeps recording. Thank you for doing that. But
No
also
problem.
tell me about you were saying about this very fascinating discussion about cannabinoids. You said there are some of these excreted in human body more when they are more breast with the breast milk, or
Yeah, so cannabinoids are produced, natural cannabinoids from a woman's breast. So when she's pregnant and she has a child, or throughout pregnancy, they produce breast milk, and within that breast milk, there's natural cannabinoids in there. So what the baby gets instantly when a child is breastfeeding, it gets that them vital cannabinoids that are activating the endocannabinoid system at the youngest age ever. You know, they've just come into the world, and that's exactly what they need right then is they need cannabinoids then to let their body develop. So you tend to find, and this is only a stat and it may be a myth, that kids that have been on breastfeeding for longer than other children, they develop at quite a lot more at an early age. They see a lot more development and progress, shall we say. But it is true that there's only very few places where cannabinoids come from, and a human body, a woman's breast, is one of them.
Hmm. Also, tell us what is most common myths or problem people have about cannabinoids.
Myths and problems. I think that the biggest myth, and is that it's a drug. It's not a drug. That anything that grows naturally from Mother Earth herself is, should not be classed as a drug. People are putting it into the wrong brackets or using it for the wrong reasons. So I think that's the biggest myth, that this is a drug. This is something that the government globally around the world many years ago, not this government and not the government before us, maybe the government before that, put a big stamp on it, and tried to make a stigma up, to scare people away from this plant. Now, this plant's a medicine. I think it's a fantastic medicine. I think it's one of the most uniquest plants in the world. So I think the biggest myth for me is that this plant has got any harm to do to this planet. Because it certainly hasn't. It's the complete opposite. This plant can save the world.
Hmm. So a lot of people think it's more medicine, but your point is more natural, and the amount we use is sufficient to help rather than be a medicine or poison.
No, no, not at all. I think it can be great as a medicine. It can be used as a medicine. The term medicine we have to use lightly because of the way that the industries are kind of positioned. But I think that it can be used perfectly as a medicine. I think it's 100% natural. Where I think that where I disagree with is that it's put under a drug, as in a controlled drug. We're controlling a plant here that's growing in the ground, and I think that there is where I completely disagree with the stigma that they put around it, where they've planted a seed in 50, 60, 70% of the population to think that this plant here is a bad thing, that it's a gateway drug, that it's something that leads to more of it leads to other drugs, and that's just not the case. They're all myths, they're all fake stats, and they're all people who are who are trying to dictate the market, shall we say, for their own benefits.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. That the pharmaceutical companies sometimes they change or do things to their benefit, and they would hide the facts or the. But over the years now we are seeing. I mean, definitely CBD, and they have a lot of potential to help, but the only problem is like any medication or anything, they kind of putting on everything, and so some it might not help or some it might, right? So they're putting on skin for or for 10 other things, but then becomes, is it you know which one is the best use,
Yeah, well, I think that you're going to get that in any new emerging market. You're going to get, and especially a market that's like this, that's exciting. I think you're going to get a mass amount of companies that come and they all want to try and play their products
Yeah.
off against one another, and it's always about which product's the best. And I think that's the reason why we created Compare CBD. It's a comparison website that compares 83 companies we've got on there now, and over 1,500 products on the website. So rather than choosing from one company, you can choose from a range of companies around the world, and you can look at all ranges of CBD based products. And not only that, we really focus ourselves on education. So we have over 350 articles on the Compare CBD website that's all based around CBD, hemp, the rules, the regulations, what's good, what's bad, what to watch out for, and what to look out for. So yeah, with some great information on there. But I think you're right there. It's because it's a new industry. It's all a matter of, you know, everything seems new, and which is the right product to choose, which sometimes can be a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. Because most people will be on crossroads and they don't know which road to take, because there's so much wrong information and right information, and a normal person can't figure that out. And I think you're doing amazing job putting all the comparisons, and then once the word get out that this site or this information is real and it is
Yep.
not fake, then a lot of people you'll see will get the message, and not only that, they will get the point also. And I've seen that kind of playing out. Unfortunately, it's hard to know, and I think you're doing fantastic job putting that information out. So comparing now, tell me some of the criteria you use to compare. I know is there a certain criteria you have?
Yeah, so all our companies that are on the website are certified to make sure they've all got lab reports, they've all got the correct certification to be working with inside the industry, and we work with them all closely. We know that make sure and that the companies that are on our site fit a strict criteria. We want to make sure that our end consumers get the bestest of products to be able to compare. The new comparison website that goes live in 8 days' time has got some great features on there. It's got a new compare feature on there, which is going to ask a series of questions, and then you will land on a page that's relevant to yourself with the products that you're looking for, rather than having to go through the wide range of products that we've got on the website. So the compare industry, sorry, the CBD industry is fairly new. We've got a long way to go to educate globally, but it's a task that we're really looking forward to. It's something that we have a passion about as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to our show. It was a pleasure and knowing you as well as learning from you about CBD. So, for audience, any final thoughts or message you have?
Yeah, take business away. My message here is about, inspiration for life, inspiration and courage in general. Anyone that's out there that's struggling, whether it be with anxiety, stress, depression, or whether it be cancer, or any other illnesses, just know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Where them dark days, and I've been through them, some really dark days. Know that that's not the end. Know that you can roll up the sleeves and there's another level that you can do. Just 3 months ago, I was sat, 2.5 stone less than what I currently am now, feeling in a really, really bad way with chemo going in me. Now I feel amazing. I'm on top of the world, and I'm pushing on with life in general. So never give up. Anyone that does need a helping hand, or anyone that wants to speak to someone, feel free to reach out to myself, James Cummiskey, on Facebook, on any social media. I'm always there to kind of to give my time as and when and where is needed. So much appreciated for your time, Dr. Moby. It's been a pleasure being on your podcast, and I look forward to coming on back again in the future.
Sure. Oh, anytime, anytime when you're ready and, putting out your info to, like your website and rest of your journey, please come back and share with us. And it's been a pleasure hearing from you and knowing you. And also, your battle, we all feel that you are a great fighter, and I think that means a lot to all of us. So we are praying for your success. We are praying that you defeat AML and also, other problems. But we definitely keep you in prayers. Thank you for coming to our show. Okay.
Thank you. Much
Take,
appreciated. Thank you very much. Take time.
take care. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Take
Bye.
care.